Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar on mastering cloud business across all platforms. I'm Ranjini, a part of marketing team at Cloud Asset, and I would like to extend a warm welcome to every one of you. So before we begin, we encourage you to actively participate by asking questions and our speaker will address them during the presentation. We will also have a dedicated Q&A session where you can unmute your mic and speak. So without further delay, let me introduce our speaker, Palaniappan Venkatachalam, Senior Program Manager at Cloud Asset. Welcome, Palani. Over to you.
Thank you for the introduction, Ranjani. Thank you everyone who have joined us on this webinar. We are going to be seeing about how cloud billing platforms can help your business. What are the things you need to look for? Sorry for the slight delay in starting this session. We were waiting for a few participants to join. Seeing that we have a limited audience, I think we might be able to make this a little bit more interactive. Also, we can focus on what exactly you're looking for out of this webinar. So, if you can use the chat box to let us know what are you looking out of this webinar, why you have joined, I can tailor the how I take this to suit your needs. So, if you can please enter in the chat window. I'll give a minute for the participants to type your responses and then I'll start. Okay, I've got one response here to understand cloud billing and how it works and how can consultants advise it for their clients. I will address that. So what we are going to see in this webinar is we will see how a cloud billing product should work, what are the features we should look for, and we will look at how typically customers use cloud billing software, how cloud billing softwares will help the businesses, and what kind of integrations usually are required and how those integrations work. And we'll also see about the power of data that is generated by the cloud billing software and how you can utilize it to generate some business intelligence that can help grow the business. Whenever we talk about billing, we will always pricing strategy is something that's really important. So I'll start with a few examples of pricing strategies. When you go for a cloud billing solution, you should look for a solution that gives you a lot of flexibility with cloud billing. Uh, we have list we are Cloud Asset and we have a product which is Hyber. We have taken that as a reference and we are listing down some of the strategies and some ways in which customers typically use cloud billing. There's the standard subscription based model like Netflix, where you buy a service, you use that service, and you pay a monthly, quarterly, or annual, or even triennial fee for that service. From a business perspective, this will give a consistent revenue stream and your costs will be predictable and you can have a very good visibility on how your business is growing. And then there's the usage based pricing strategy wherein you will have a meter. Let's say a person is using a vCPU or a a machine for 10 hours, then you charge only for 10 hours. Those sort of flexibility is something that will be used by small businesses, sometimes even large scale shops also. But if I have to pay only for what I use, that will attract a larger customer base. And that is something that is typically used by cloud service providers, public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, and all of those people. It's a usage based model. And then there's licensing for software like Microsoft Office, where you can pay a one-time fee and you can get a perpetual license with updates for a certain period. And also there are time-limited licensing, like you buy a software only for 2 years and then you have to renew the license. There are tiered pricing. There's like multiple variations of tiered pricing that you can see. One way would be like if you buy 10 quantity, you get a certain price. If you get 100 quantity, you get it in a different price. If you get it in a bulk order, you get a bigger discount. That is one way in which tiering is done. Another way is like the benefits are tied. There's like a basic plan, there's like a more advanced plan, there's the enterprise plan, and so on. So there are like tiers along that way. And then there are bundles. Typically, businesses have multiple products. One typical example would be a um internet provider who also has a mobile service and a TV service. If you buy all of their services together as a bundle, you get a better deal. They try to cross sell and they try to increase their other sale of their other products through the customer base that they have already got in one product. So those are like bundle pricing strategies. But typically in the technology world, no one pricing strategy is something that will suit the business needs of a customer. They will have to mix and match multiple pricing strategies. So one example would be I could be having a data center and I could also be a Microsoft reseller selling their licenses. For the storage and the IaaS services that I sell out of my data center, I might have a different pricing. For the Microsoft services which I am reselling, I might just have a markup on top of the price in which I might be buying. So there's a lot of uh, combinations that you can try. So you need to have a software that will give you the flexibility to uh, give any combination of pricing strategy that you might want to be able to apply. One really easy or convenient strategy to use is if you can have multiple rate cards and if you can build all those rate cards in a hierarchy. Typically, if you're say selling a cloud software, there could be like literally a million SKUs which a customer can buy. You cannot typically replicate all of that, or you cannot go on applying manual markups and discount on many of these things, even using tools like Excel. So you need to have a pricing profile or a rate card, which will be your base profile, which you build for your first time when you're setting up the whole system. And then you should be able to add another 5% margin to it, offer a discount to it, add a tiering to it, and just build a hierarchical set of rate cards which you can give to your customers according to their profile, according to the contract which you're having. And you should be able to easily modify it across. That's the kind of flexibility you need with your rate cards. And if you're having multiple services, let's say you're also a Microsoft reseller, you're also having a data center. Let's say you even have a hardware business where you sell computers. You might be having multiple rate cards. You should have the ability to combine, pick rate card 1, rate card 2, rate card 3 from each of these three sets of rate cards and give one rate card to your customer. So a hierarchy and a reverse hierarchy. These are like key things that um, you should consider when you're looking at pricing strategy. So these are some of the core constructs of a cloud billing model. One would be your rate card, which we talked about now. And then there is your usage, which will come out of usage-based systems where there is a meter. Are my slides visible?
Yes,
Yes,
it
Palani,
is.
it is visible. I think it is visible from our end.
Okay, I have an attendee saying they cannot see the slides. Let me stop sharing and present again.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Please bear with me, folks who can see my slides already. Are you able to see my slides now?
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
So
it is visible.
let's check with the attendee. So are you able to see the screen? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he has answered. Okay, and this is where I was. I was telling these are the core constructs of a pricing system. One would be your rate cards. Another will be the usage which flows into your system for a cloud-based system or any billing system that runs on a runs a meter, and you have to bill based on the usage. And then there are subscriptions. Subscriptions are essentially one is the subscription-based billing where you pay for a subscription, but what we are talking about here is a subscription to the software which handles all your unified billing. Or this has all the customer details. Who is your customer? Who do you bill? What's the currency? And all of those information. Combining all of this information, you generate an invoice. A bit later in my presentation, I will be talking more about business intelligence that you can gather. But this is the core of it. Most of the companies, they sit on like huge volumes of data and they don't even realize that they have that information and they can get insights out of it. We will talk more about it a bit later in the presentation. Um, we talked about setting up the rate cards. You have set up the rate cards. You know what you're selling. You know how you're going to price it. There's one more key setup which you need to do in a cloud billing platform. One would be your companies. Who are you selling to? What are the things that you're selling to? We talked about subscriptions. The subscriptions will have the details of the company, what is the currency, where they are located, how you are going to bill them. All of that will be there in the companies. And then we have this construct called as plans and offers. These are the constructs which we use to set up the pricing and set up your business for the cloud billing so that we have a seamless billing happening without any manual intervention. These are all stuff that you would do in initial setup, and whenever a new company comes in or whenever you want to change your prices, you will have to touch these constructs. And then we have something called as a plans and offers. A plan is essentially a pricing plan where you have a service, what kind of prices you want to sell that service in. Those are the different pricing plans that you can have. You can have a Microsoft reseller pricing plan. You can have a infrastructure pricing plan. You can have multiple pricing plans. And an offer is what you're offering to a customer, combining multiple plans. So you set up your plans, you set up your offers. These are some of the screens in our product which helps you to set up those things. You have set up your plans and offers, you have set up your prices, you have set up your companies. Hyper as a platform even offers the ability to structure your companies under the hierarchical sales teams. You can have, let's say, you have different sales team catering to different cities. You can have one service provider. The all the screens that I'm showing here, it comes from an administrator portal of the Hyper platform. You as a business owner or an administrator, you set up all these initial prices and companies and all of that. Let's say you have a large business and you have another level of uh, how can we call it, resellers or business divisions. You can have another layer. You can add layers in Hyper. They can set up their own plans. They can bring their own customers, and you as a business owner will get to see all of their data. So that is how it's structured. Now that the initial setup is, I have explained about the initial setup, I'll go a little bit into what the whole chain is going to look like. How does a cloud billing system help a tech business? There's a lot of information coming in from various systems, tech systems, usage information. We need to see whether that information is good. We need to sanitize it, remove duplicates, clean up any wrong data, throw out any errors that might be coming out of there. And then we need to homogenize the data. When we are talking about a cloud billing system here, we are not talking about a system that can handle billing for just one infrastructure or one business. We are generally talking about systems that can handle data coming in from so many different systems. But all of the pages, all of the inferences, all of the management, all of that, you're going to do it in a combined manner. Which means that what it does is typically we homogenize all the data. We bring it all into one common structure and then we aggregate it. We apply a lot of billing customization that we offer you. We provide a way in which you can get your payments. We integrate with payment gateways and so on. We have the necessary tools for the finance teams to make their actions on top of the invoices. And all of the data that is generated through this process, both the raw data and the calculated data from the system, it is made available as a data source to the business intelligence module of the product. This is a quick representation of how the data can come. Typically, a lot of our customers are cloud service providers, both public and private cloud. So we put an example of AWS, HCI, VMware, and so on. But it's really not limited to this. You can sell T-shirts and you can still, it's going to have a unit price and it's going to have a customer and so on. So it doesn't matter what data you're bringing in. Any data that you bring in here, it can get transformed and you can do all of these operations. So you have the usage, you have the quantity, you have all the information that comes into the billing. What do you do with it? Um, First is you have all these rate cards and pricing and all of that. So you first match and identify and get the right rate card based on the right time and all of the, you get the price. And you do a lot of calculations on top of the price. You can apply a 5% markup. You can apply a discount. Let's say you buy from somebody in US dollar, but you want to sell in a different color currency, say Indian rupee. You can convert and bill. You can finally you might be invoicing the customer on a monthly basis, or you might have a different aggregation mechanism. But you might want to give insights to the customer on what they got charged for per hour, per day, and per week, and so on. So you aggregate the costs at various different level and have a mechanism set up in such a way that you can see the price, you can see the price trends, you can see the expected monthly price and all of that information. So you structure your data in such a manner. Okay, now that you have the prices, you have the product and everything, you need a place where you can sell the product. That's where the marketplace comes in. You need to have a marketplace that is pretty much similar to what people would be used to, like Amazon or any e-commerce website where they can filter, see the prices, and purchase. And once they make a purchase, those resources should get automatically provisioned for them. You do not want them going to another place or doing another operation. So, excuse me. So a self-service marketplace and a self-service tenant portal where they can make their purchases, where they can make their own operations. Let's say I bought a VM, I should be able to go and turn on the VM, turn off the VM, see whether the VM is running, see the metrics, how much storage have I used out of the storage that I have bought. All of that is what we call a self-service. So you need a place where you can provision, you need a place where you can manage, and all of that they need to be able to do without coming back to the person who sold it to them for support. This is particularly applicable in case of a private cloud infrastructure, which many of our customers use, which do not typically come with a self-service that gives them a lot of options. So you have a marketplace in Hyper wherein you can sell all of the items which you have listed and have it priced. So Hyper provides the ability to access a marketplace and manage the products. All of this generates a lot of data, and there are a lot of, whenever it comes to corporations, they typically have a lot of systems in place. They have a CRM system, they have a finance system, they have so many systems where data comes in, and they have so many systems where data has to go out. Even though Hyper as a product, it has invoicing and it provides many capabilities within itself. There are some customers where they use other billing systems, they use other financial systems where they want to push the data to. That is where integrations come into play. Um, a cloud billing system should be able to read data from anywhere. It can be a cloud service provider like a private or public cloud like Azure or AWS or vCenter, or it can be any online service, or it can even be a data dump. It can be like a folder or a blob store into which you put a lot of information on how usages are there, what is the data that's coming in. A system should be able to read in. There should be multiple mechanisms for reading in, like I said, like from a file system, where like call an API and read the data, or you just push the data into the system. And then you need to be able to give the data out to any system that demands it. There are like a couple of integration mechanisms. Typically, there's a webhook and there's a API. These are the like the most popular ways in which data can be pushed out. A webhook is where, let's say, a invoice is generated in Hyper. I want to send that invoice to SAP. So invoice generated is an event that happened within your cloud billing software. We should be able to push that data out into an external system based on that event. APIs are much more simpler. An external system asks, "Hey, give me this data," and with along with all necessary authentication, and this end system gives the data back to the portal. So Hyper supports integrations with virtually any platform. We can read data out of anywhere and give data to anywhere. These are some of the common APIs that Hyper provides to uh, some of the data mechanisms that require it. You can get an invoice detail, you can get a estimate detail, you can get the usage details, you can get monthly records, you can get much more detailed logs. All of that, pretty much everything that a software would give in a UI, it is also exposed as a API. Essentially, it's built on a very scalable microservice architecture. So even what gives the data to the UI is also the same API. So pretty much everything you can see on the UI, you can see on the API also. Typically, these are some of the tools that our customers integrate with. There are PSA tools like ConnectWise, Manage, and there are Autotask. There are accounting software, FreshBooks, QuickBooks, and sometimes you might want to send a message in Teams, or you might want to dump a bunch of data into a S3 bucket. All of that is something you will be able to do from within Hyper if you have a set of data, and any good cloud billing software should have like unlimited integration capabilities. It should not be like we have set integration with these 20 tools. There's no guarantee that the customer's need will be limited to those 20 tools. You should have a flexibility to integrate with any tool that you need. So next we are coming to the final section of our webinar, which is business intelligence. We talked about having a lot of data upfront. Um, Data is the real currency. It's really true. But it's still underlooked, even though there's a lot of visibility into business intelligence and analytics and so on. We see that in a lot of places, many of our customers, until they actually get the focus on that area, they do not realize how much data they have and what are the kind of insights that they can build. Some of the insights that we can see are profitability analysis, which are the products that are giving you most margin, what are your forecast, who are your top customer, in which geography what product is working better, what are the buying patterns that you can get. Essentially, all these insights are something that we can get just out of the data which we had shown before. We have customer, we have their geography, we have their profile, we have the products which they bought, we have the prices in which they bought the product, we have the prices in which you procured the products. So these are like simple data points if you see them in isolation, but if you combine them, it can give you so much of value. Let me quickly show you a demo of how business intelligence works within Hyba. This is a sample home screen of what you can give your customer. Uh, Sorry, this is sample home screen of what an administrator can see. They can see what is their total revenue for the last month. They can see who their top customers are. What product category brought in the maximum revenue. They will be able to see a split up like that. You can see a trend over the past several months, and you can deep dive into the data. This is not a one-time view dashboard. This is an interactive dashboard where you can just select the data which you want, and it loads further. You can drill down further. You can do a lot of operations based on what information you need to see. And this is not a out of box, this one size fits all kind of dashboard. This is a mechanism that gives you a flexibility to build your own dashboard. Essentially, all of the data that you have is made available as data sources. The data sources is what is actually the core thing, not the way in which you visualize it. The way in which you will want to visualize the data will vary from customer to customer. We do not have even two customers who have the same dashboards, because based on their market, based on their way they do their business, based on the audience, they will have a dashboard which will be there for the executive summary or the management to see how the business is going. They will have a dashboard for the regional managers to see how the product is performing in their region. They will have different dashboards for sales team to see how their performance is going. And they could have an entirely different set of dashboards for the end users to see what their costs are, how can they optimize the cost. You can give a lot of value adds also to your customers, whether they have purchased 100 licenses, what are their unused licenses. Literally, there's so much of information that you can surface, which can help your management, which can help them teams who are selling, it can help the customers and overall drive value for the business and improve the customer satisfaction. This is editable. Like you can just click a component, you can edit this button, and an administrator can do this, not the customer. You can just go and change the type of a chart, and you can do a lot of things. It's just like it takes probably 15-20 minutes to learn how to go about doing this, and once you learn, it's something you can easily manage to do. For Hyper customers, we typically give a workshop where we teach them what data do they have, and how to get maximum value out of the data which they are having. So that is the power of business intelligence, and it's really useful to all the customers that we have. I think I've come to the end of the presentation. I've covered all the topics that I wanted to cover. We can move over to the Q&A session. Ranjani, if you can unmute the participants, please. If they have any questions, they can ask.
Yes, sure, I'll do it.
Palani, I can see one question under the Q&A.
Okay.
How to do custom user experience tailored to different organization roles?
Okay. typically, having a different user experience, one key thing that we can use is the business intelligence that we showed. It's a it's a custom dashboard which you can build and you can make it as the home screen. And you can have different home screen for different user profiles. You can have a different home screen for an administrator, a different home screen for the reseller, and a different home screen for the end customer. And then rather than saying custom user experiences, I would say that you would want to have the relevant features enabled for the relevant profiles. Hyper as a product, it has a very robust RBAC, role-based access control, wherein out of the box it ships with a bunch of pre-built roles such as a administrator and a finance admin and a contributor or a reader role. All of that is there. Typically, every page within the product, it is something that can be made available or turned off for each of the roles. Out of the box roles help to start, but typically for customers who want more nuanced controls over these kind of features, they create custom roles. They create a custom role and they enable, okay, this feature is needed for this person and this feature is needed for the another person, and that kind of customizations is how it is typically done. Thank you for the question, David. Any other questions? Over to you, Ranjani. Thank you.
Thank you, Parani. So, thank you so much for giving such valuable insights and expertise with us. So, it was a great session actually. So, before we conclude, I would like to add up this offer that we have it here. So, we have a special offer that is valid up to 10,000 US dollars for first 25 customers, those who enroll it after this webinar. So, Prashant, can you share the link in the chat?
Yeah,
So
sure. I'll,
a link will be shared in the chat so that you can click the link and enable this offer today. So, so if you have any other questions or queries, you can just drop it down or you can unmute your mic and speak. I have enabled your mics. Yeah, the link is now available in the chat box so that you can click the link and avail the offers. So I think we don't have any other questions or queries. Thank you everyone. We appreciate your presence and we invite you to stay connected with us by visiting our website and following us on social media. So if you have any feedback, please write back to us at info@cloudasset.com. Thank you.
thank you all.